I think they have to become the 51st state.
Maple syrup drinking fucks.
Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery here on location in one of the pits of hell. Some call it the 51st state. Others call it the nation of Canada, who has recently definitively and collectively broken our American hearts on the ice. Hockey, a game that we thought we owned, that we were the greatest in the world at for a 4-day stretch, has reared its ugly head, and here I am in the pits of hell. I mean, I don't know what to say. I am sitting in a drab fucking field here in Calgary processing this. It is a heartbreaking loss. It is a lot of shit was talked. I flew into Calgary last night. I was excited. To be here, for the game. No, the game's not here. The game is in Boston, but I was excited to be in enemy territory. Obviously doing shows this weekend at the Laugh Shop here in Calgary. The trip started off great. I came in, flew in on the plane landed right side up. I thought, bully for me, everything's coming up Avery. I did not do the Toronto upper decker. No upside-down landing for me, and I thought that was a nice touch, a little welcome gift from the Canadians that they did not extend to whoever was flying that Delta partner airline into Toronto. Very interesting move by the Canadians. I know Trump started talking shit. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's nice to threaten to invade your neighbors. It's not traditionally how we've done things. It's fun, but it's not nice. And I am nothing if not a nice person. And I do think that we've been pissing off the Canadians a little bit. They've been lashing out. They've been landing planes upside down. That's a little pick me, if you ask me. It's like, are you not getting enough attention? They have begun, they were booing our national anthem. They're apologizing because they're Canadian. They're very polite, and I respect that. You're allowed to boo the song, by the way. That's okay. If we this is a fair trade I think we can make as Americans, and we do need to be fair. I think if we are going to threaten to invade your sovereign nation, we do have to allow people to boo the song. And let's be honest, it's not the greatest song. I don't sing it in the shower when I wake up. That's not our anthem. But it is, and also we're allowed to say, hey, we'll fight you if you boo the song. None of that matters. The game was lost. Now, I was on stage when it happened. Kind of an interesting moment. I'll throw to that right now just so you can see what it's like when I, as an American hockey fan. Now, I grew up playing hockey, okay? Yes, I came up from the hockey hotbed known as San Jose, California, a.k.a. Sharks territory. Have you ever heard at it? We're waving at the kids here. Love the hat. See, they're friendly people here. I do want to say this. I have no qualms with the fine Canadian people. We're going to talk shit, but it's hard to stay mad. I think that's why this feud was so fun, because it was a bit manufactured. Except for I don't really ever know what Trump's up to be honest with you. He's a bit of a wild card. I think that's fair to say by now. But I can pretend to hate the Canadians, but then you come up here and you go, you're nice. You're nice people. We're waving at the kids here, letting them know what it's like to man spread on the lawn out here at a fucking Calgary. Now, the school I'm looking at here, well, actually, I think I'm looking at the YMCA here. The Calgary Villains is the name of the team. This is true. I'm looking at a big sign. It says Calgary Villains National Youth License Outdoor Soccer. Even that is quaint. The Canadians are so bad at being mean people that when they try to come up with an intimidating mascot, they go with the villains. They don't even know how to be mean. It's just on the nose. They're like, oh, what's mean? Oh, a villain, right, bud? Oh, fucking rights, buddy. We gotta tell him. We gotta really intimidate him here. Tell him that we're villains there, bud. We gotta boo their song, bud. We gotta tell him, hey, bud, this is our sport, and we like the sport. We're villains, bud. You don't want to mess with us, bud, or else we'll invite you into our home and make you a fucking strudel. They're kind folk, but I'm trying to hate them right now because I'm sad and I'm sitting in a depressing Canadian field. I mean, let's think about the names of the team. Let's go through the Canadian team names and find out which ones are truly terrifying. Canucks, that means Canadian. Montreal Canadiens, that also means Canadian. Edmonton Oilers, just their job. Calgary Flames, what happens when the Oilers do their job for a while and then summer hits. That one's a little scary, actually. That one can be scary, but it's simply an element. What else do we have? We have the Toronto Blue Jays. I am quaking in my thick Canadian winter boots. What other teams were? The Ottawa Senators. Okay, just folk. Just people running the nation. I think these days the people in Canada would probably say that these are the most feared of the mascots, because from what I've been able to understand out here, as I have been boots on the ground reporting, finding out about local Canadian politics, which I have, and which I have some interesting reports on. I know this is largely an American audience, so this is an educational show today, so that I can teach you about not only what it's like here in the foreign land known as Canada, but also what is going on politically, because let's be honest, folks, we don't know. We have no idea. None of us do. We go, you drink maple syrup. What are the other teams? Raptors. Okay, they don't even exist anymore. I don't think there are any actually fearsome Canadian mascots, because they can't. They just become the villains. Come to the United States, we're like, we're the Devils. We're the New Jersey Devils or the Duke Blue Devils. That is Lucifer, dog. That is supposed to be the scariest of all. Vikings, we will rape and pillage. These are scary team names. I got away from it a little bit. Let me just show you a little brief window into what it was like experiencing USA-Canada losing while on stage in Canada. Here that is. USA-Canada going on right now. I didn't think anyone would come to the show on a hockey night here. I've been watching it in the green room. It's tied. We'll hear someone from the sports bar if anything happens.
Centering pass, McDavid scores!
No! No! Did Canada just fucking win? No! What the fuck? Oh, fuck you. Oh my God. I'm looking this up on my phone. Fuck you guys, we are taking you over. I didn't like it when Trump said that, but now I'm back. You belong to us. And with our powers combined, we'll be the greatest hockey nation of all time. God damn it, now I have to hang out with you fucks all weekend. You're gonna have an unearned sense of pride. That's our job. Fucking Timbit eating motherfuckers. Fucking shit fake Starbucks. No, I like Tim Hortons. It's like Starbucks, but if a bomb just went off. I'm just glad you gave the homeless a place to be all the time. I feel like whenever I go in there, I'm like, whoa, okay, better get my coffee quick, or I'll be having some heroin with it.
Maple syrup drinking fucks.
I'm just gonna lash out now. Molson's isn't even a good beer. God damn it. Well, whatever. You can have your one thing. All right, well, good for you.
The American thing we always do when we lose something is we're like, well, all our best athletes play football anyway. If we could get more than 3 blacks into the NHL. I'm sorry, are they not great athletes?
So there it was. I mean, even in the moment, even in the pits of my heartbreak, I was unable to sustain full anger at the fine Canadian people because I like them, and they like me, and we're friends. But also, fuck you, buddy. Fucking rights, buddy. Eh? Your little shithole Starbucks, Tim Hortons. It's kind of fun, though. It's kind of nice. Is any major coffee chain good? I'll tell you where I went. A tiny, small coffee house with pour-overs right down the street. It was lovely. Here in Calgary. That's right, folks. Even in Calgary, they have small coffee shops. It's one of the amazing things of the modern world is you can come to places like this and things are actually pretty nice. It's been a nice time. Like I said, we will do some U.S. news. Obviously, shit's going on. Elon's got a baby mama. Trump's doing a lot. He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot. We can get to that later, but that's not what I'm here on the ground reporting. I'm here to report that I am American. I'm here to report that I am sad. I'm here to report that the Canadian people might not be doing well either. Talks of recession. We hear the economy is not great. We hear the housing is not great. We hear there's some boondoggles going on. We are hearing it's a resource economy and they're not being allowed to get their resources. I don't know how to get to the bottom of it, but I do know that Trudeau is fucked. I also know that I'm very lucky at the time that I came here. Now, here's a little inside information about Calgary. They have a nice thing, not just Calgary. This is a weather phenomenon that happens across different parts of the globe, although it is native. It is largely in North America and most notably felt oftentimes here in Calgary, called the Chinook winds. Now, I didn't know about this. Obviously, if you live here in Calgary, you're quite familiar. The Chinook winds, it's a pressure system. Please don't turn off the podcast. I promise this will get interesting. It's a pressure system that comes down a mountain, comes flying down, and as the winds come rolling down the mountain, it warms up, tumbles across this great Canadian plain, and warms up Calgary. Okay, the day before I arrived, 4 degrees Fahrenheit. They use a whole different system here. It's weird. Said it felt like -5. I get here, highs of 40. Thank you, sweet Chinook winds. The Blackfoot tribe, one of the ancient tribes here native to Calgary, called it the snow eater because that's what it does. It comes up, eats up the snow, eats up the freeze, warms it up a little bit. What I didn't realize until talking to some of the locals was that the pressure systems can have interesting effects on people's behavior. They say the wind turns people trans. I'm using Cliff Notes a bit. Okay, let's go through it here. The wind comes down, and apparently people can give people migraines. Okay, that's one thing I heard. The next thing I heard is that it can also, people who are bipolar, of which one of the comedians who opened for me last night, named Levi, I'll find the last name, very funny, said he struggled with being bipolar. And what happens when you have a rapid temperature change is it can affect people who are bipolar. It can send them into a swing this way, that way. Now, these swings can have differing effects, can affect your mental health. In his case, the swings basically had him go into a manic state. And in his personal manic state, he believed, one, that he was trans, and turns out he's not. So this is, not talking about the issue at large. Just in his case, he was like, that was a whoopsie. So he went through a phase where he was certain that he was trans and certain that he was able to talk to God. Now, this is where you can really start finding out this might not be someone who's, communicating their authentic truth, in which case they can speak to God. And if that is 100% true, then we would have them on the pod anytime. Anyone who can authentically prove that they can speak to God, you're welcome on the pod anytime. I just have to note that I tend to be skeptical It's not that I haven't met people that believe they can talk to God. It's just that I'm unsure that any of them have been great at it. But it's a tough skill. It's a tough skill to develop. The people who can talk to God traditionally are people that nobody knows that existed hundreds of thousands of years ago, people who are notably mentally ill and struggling with a lot of diseases, and these people, you can find them. I used to find them. You can source them from a lot of places. They have them kind of free range in San Francisco if you want to see them in their natural habitat, which is a beautiful place. Don't let anybody get it wrong. But you can get some free range out there, and it's nice, and you do want them kind of in their bag, as it were. And that bag is a bag full of shit. I'm just kidding. It's on the street. But no, they do free range out there, but you can find them a lot of places. I find them a lot on the internet. My algorithm is, as they would say these days, built brick by brick. A beautiful thing that I have constructed that is full of authentic seekers, artists, and those willing to wander into the unknown levels of what some would rudely call cringe and what I charitably call authenticity. These people can speak to God, or these people believe they can speak to God as well. So you can find them there. People like Kanye who are on nitrous, although he's kind of blurring the gap right now. He's kind of doing a bit of both. So yeah, it's really just people that people are sure could do it, and then people who are demonstrably mentally ill, people who are in my feed specifically, and a few others, But anyway, you're welcome. It's a open invitation to come to the pod, and just know that if you are dealing with mental illness and feel like I'm speaking directly to you with this podcast, know that you are correct. And I want you to do really normal and safe things with that knowledge. Please do. I'm kidding. Go get help. Take a pill. Make sure someone gave it to you. I don't know. I'm not here to solve the mental health crisis. I'm here to discuss how the winds can make you trans. So in this case, they did. And what happened is the wind made him trans. And that was an interesting thing that I wasn't expecting to learn about Calgary. I verified all this with him, by the way. I said, I'm probably skipping some notes here, but could I essentially say the wind did that? And he said, absolutely. But he's doing very well now, and he's got some great material and some interesting facts. If you ever come to Calgary, watch out for the wind. It might blow up your brand new skirt. So this is what I love about travel. You don't learn things about, like, I love New York. New York is full of a great many different people from all walks of life, and all of them simply want to talk about how they can do ketamine or something. I don't care. What are the pressure systems doing to your relationship with your sexual self? If drugs are making you get sexual, what is it, 1960? I don't give a fuck, you hippie dork. Go to the plains of Canada. Fuck with the wind. Find out how it makes you feel. Okay? Come up here with a lot of national pride. Even though it's kind of manufactured. I think Trump's being very mean, and I'm not a mean person. I accept everybody. I don't care what the wind tells you are. I am in. No, when you're crazy, I always want people to get help, but I have a very low tolerance for crazy people because they always want to talk about themselves, and it gets in my way of doing the same. It does. This is one of my biggest pet peeves with people is, I'm going to take you for a long walk here. I listen to a fair amount of basketball podcasts sometimes. It's a weird way to put it. The reason I bring it up is not because I'm a huge basketball fan, but it struck me that I listen to podcasts that are about basketball sometimes more than I even watch basketball. And a lot of times they talk about usage rate. A guy who, sure, he puts up these numbers, he's getting to the bucket, he's dunking, he's doing all these things, But is he being effective with that? You know, there can be a guy on your team he's scoring 25, 30 a night. This guy must be good. And you go, no, he's not a winning player. He's not a winning player because he requires the ball a lot. He has a high usage rate. He's not giving you much back. I notice these people exist in life. It's my least favorite kind of person. Either be a spot shooter, sit in the corner, get the ball, put up a three, nail it when your time comes, or if you're going to be a point guard, you got to dunk a lot. If you want to walk into a social situation, demand the ball, have a high usage rate, and be ruining the vibe, I will want to kill you. Now, the best thing you could be in that scenario is mentally ill, because at least in that case, I could say, hey, we can work on that in training camp. A lot of things we can do. A lot of room for improvement. The problem is most of these people aren't technically, they're not diagnosably mentally ill. Their illness is just the cloud that they bring to hover over a social situation and make everyone else feel bipolar because we're all getting upset. You're making me want to go to a therapist because you ruined my Friday fucking night. There's a name for this mental illness. We haven't even come up with it yet. It's called being a fucking annoying, and it's my least favorite one. It's my least favorite one. You need to see, the problem is all the things I would prescribe to these people would make it worse. I would start hitting them with hey, why don't you go to a darkness retreat? You need to shut the fuck up and sit in a hut for a while. Come up here to Canada. Go ice fishing. Sit by yourself and reflect. Problem with these people, they do one of these things. They'll come back and they won't shut the fuck up about it. They will not shut the fuck up about it. These people have a problem. Okay? Now that was not the point. The point is that if you're having some problems, if you're being a little minute, that's okay. That's fine. We can work on that in training camp. The most mentally ill people don't think they are at all. They think they're killing it. They think they're killing it. But that's okay, folks. We are going to be fine here. We're here in Canada, enjoying the nice, beautiful gray sky, the snow that's turning into mud, the wreckage of Trump's promises of a 51st state. Now, I have to have all these fucking Chinooks wandering around saying, oh, you're going to be the fucking guy on the thing said 14th province. I don't think that's correct. Everyone's, people in the comments are saying 11th. I don't know how many fucking provinces there are. We would teach Canadian history in our schools if there was one. It's okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lash out like that. Both of our histories are relatively similar. There were people here before us. Now they're not. But we're doing our best, folks. We're doing our best. We've been born into this world, and we are simply here to try and make this world a place with the most nice to upscale pour-over coffee shops that we can. Trump has been very busy. I think Trump's got a high usage rate on the world stage these days. Now, Trump started lashing out at Vladimir Zelenskyy, and I don't want to dive deep into Ukraine policy here on this program. I think there are probably places mildly more qualified to do that. This podcast is primarily about whether or not the wind can make you want to have a sex change. But we can discuss Ukraine a bit, as I am sitting in the snow, and I think that's a metaphor of some kind. I think that gives me a level of expertise. I will give you, just so you can understand my bias going in, I'm not an expert, but it strikes me that what Trump has been doing recently in terms of completely jumping in with all of Vladimir Putin's talking points. Look, I would love to end the war, but I do think that agreeing with Putin before even starting negotiation weakens your position a bit. I wouldn't know. I haven't read The Art of the Deal, but I think that's in there. Hello. The kids are watching. Thoughts on Kyiv? They're small. I think they're learning the alphabet. So I don't know if they're going to be able to help me with Kyiv, but maybe the parents. Well, I don't know if we should discuss that. So I don't personally. I would like an end to the war. I would like a shrewder negotiation, and I don't think that selling out our partner in this is exactly the right move. I think that Trump has a bit of a short view on things, even though people think he's playing 4D chess. That's the non-funny, just kind of that's my first thing. Now, what really offended me, okay, and this did offend me. It did actually bother me here. Was his tweet about Zelenskyy, because he started taking shots at basically me. And as I discussed, everything that happens on the world stage is about me, and that is the hallmark of mental wellness. Here we are. We have to click in. Sorry, guys, I don't really have my computer out here. I'm in the fucking snow. Okay, here's Trump's tweet here on Ukraine. Think of it. A moderately successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, talked the United States into spending $350 billion. Let's start off there. What is wrong with a moderately successful comedian? Are we not humans? Are we not worthy of praise, adoration? Are we not worthy of having our voices heard on the global stage? Why should we not lead the country of Ukraine into battle against, and let's not forget, even though Trump keeps saying that Zelenskyy started the war, Putin who invaded. Now, I found it a bit rich that a Nepo baby reality star who runs our country wanted to talk shit about a moderately successful comedian. Now, it's fair to say both men have moved on to different hobbies and interests at this time that have ultimately bolstered their resumes. That's true. One cosplayed a businessman, and then, on reality TV, the other was basically cosplaying, I believe, the Ukrainian president and became the president. It's a testament to the people's power of belief and the beauty and obvious fact that art and content blends directly into politics. All of it is about who you know, and who you know on a mass scale is just a game of media and content and eyeballs and exposure and what our stupid monkey brains obviously believe. And that leads us into messes over and over and over again, which kind of is fair because no one's actually that fucking qualified to do it. Everyone's going to fuck up, and whether or not you think someone's fucking up is completely based on whatever minute content diet you are consuming, and the holes and glaring weaknesses in one person's will be obvious to another person and not to the other. And that doesn't mean that it's all relative. I think some people are smarter and more well-informed than others, and I'm number one. What I think is instructive here is how a moderately successful comedian would view the world. Now, what comedians do is the most important job on the planet. Some say it's the best medicine, laughter, that is what we provide. Others say it's modern-day philosophy, and what are we but without our thoughts? That was Shakespeare, I believe, 1984. To be or not to think, that is my answer. What comedians do, again, most important job in the world, is basically, no, obviously I'm kidding. What it really is viewing a situation, seeing it, seeing something that we think is right or wrong, dolling it up, making it funny or entertaining, and handing it back without fully being like, this is exactly what I think, but just saying like, hey, isn't this some stupid thing that we're all doing? And that kind of causes people to laugh because we're always doing stupid shit. That's why it's illuminating. It's not because it stands up to rigorous philosophical university level testing. It's just because we're all doing dumb shit when you point it out in a funny way. People are like, that is true. And it was nice to hear that because I was going to lose my fucking mind. Now, when Vladimir Putin, who is all the things that Trump has decided to say Zelenskyy is, an unelected dictator who should hold elections, who doesn't actually have the, all of that is applying to Putin for some reason. Trump wants to suck his cock, and that's fine. I've seen him riding a horse in the snow. It's hot. It's hot. If I was riding a horse in the snow, I'd suck my own dick. That would be my horse trick. I'd suck, but that's how I would Christopher Reeves myself. It would be Superman. Superman paralyzes himself sucking his own cock. Will never be able to suck another cock again. Boy, this is an odd episode. But what Zelenskyy is doing is basically saying, here's what's happening in the world. This is not right, and we're going to try and correct it. Now, what Trump is pointing out is that some of what he is doing in this pursuit is not particularly realistic and not particularly smart financially from a United States and Ukrainian life perspective at this point. There is a fair point to be made there. I think we would all like the war to end, so long as we have a better long-term setup that we feel like will prevent this in the future, which I sure hope we're thinking about, which we may not be. Now, a reality star would approach this situation from a more cynical perspective. Reality TV is not about looking at the things that we do wrong as a society and saying, what if we could be better? What's goofy about this? It's about saying it, encapsulating it, finding the ugly truth of reality, packaging it, and throwing it directly back in the face of the world as the gruel shit slop pudding that the lowest amongst us wish to feast upon. And it is, sadly, the most effective form of communication. And I think both former low-level celebrities are doing a great job of doing what they would do in this scenario. That is my take. I am correct as always. See you next time. I'm just kidding. But that is, if we're going to name call and assume that a moderately successful comedian is a bad thing, which again, I think moderately successful comedian is the greatest thing that anyone could be. Who wants to be a fully successful comedian? Oh no, the cushion from the chair I brought from my Airbnb is slipping. Nice Airbnb. Hey, it's interesting what moderate success can afford you on a February weekend here in Calgary, you fucks. Anyway, we know Trump listens to the pod. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Zelenskyy. I know everyone is here. And that I think solves Ukraine. Should we do any other global conflicts? Look, here's what I have seen going on recently with Trump. We've tracked it closely. Here's what I think is going on with a lot of people, okay? There's a mass trend that I'm spotting right now, and I believe I would call it overconfidence. Overshooting. America versus Canada. Hockey match. They boo our anthem. We fight them 3 times in the first 9 minutes. We beat the shit out of them. Hey, guess what? We own hockey. 51st state. You're ours. Yeah, turns out that was a prelim. In the final, we lost in overtime at home. That hurts. That feels bad. Now we have to walk it back a little bit. That's good for you. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with being moderately successful. Donald Trump comes into office, okay? High approval ratings, wins his thing. It's kind of his moment. He's back. People are cheering him at the Super Bowl. Obviously, there's a large contingent that will never like him, but for the first time in his political career, there's been an acceptance that he is him. You know, the people on his side realize if you want to get what you want out of him, you have to suck his cock. This is what happens. Everyone, ponies up. He's got the wind at his back. Now he starts cooking. Okay, he and Elon are doing shit. Starts to do some crazy things, offering quid pro quos to Eric Adams, involving himself in, matters of New York local politics, doing some of the government cuts that are not as popular as some people online would have you to believe. He's starting to see his approval rating go down a bit because he's doing a bit much. Crypto's been having a hot time. Okay, Bitcoin as high as it's ever been. Meme coins as high as they've ever been. Trump launches one. Melania launches one. Javier Milei of Argentina is launching one. Hawk Tua launches one. Now, time after time after time, all the money, all the hype, all the rug pulling, all the getting away with crazy shit, I do believe that people are catching up a little bit to things, and they're getting sick of people scamming them and being a little overconfident. It's what bit the Democrats too. They were overconfident. They were like, Trump, he sucks. We can do whatever we want. We can get crazy with all sorts of proclamations about what society is, what society isn't. We can tell people they suck and they're all idiots. And a lot of that came back to bite them. Overconfidence can be a bad thing. So I'm predicting, because we're not there yet, a pendulum swing on a lot of the hype-based things that end up not being directly tied to reality, because reality always brings you back. And when it brings you back, don't you ever fucking forget that there is nothing in this world more admirable than simply being moderately successful. All right, folks, a little bit more show for you, but come on out and see me on the road, joeyavery.com/live. Calgary, probably by the time this comes out, we're about done, but next week we've got Irvine, we've got Spokane just got announced. I think David Tell had to drop, so I'm hopping in for a quick weekend there. Eugene right after that, but we got tons more new dates already live. I don't want to list them all right now. My hands are cold. My phone is frozen. joeyavery.com/live. Check those out. Also, merch if you want from the corporate collection. Link is in the bio. We are starting to run quite low on these. So I've mentioned it a few times, but it's getting to be last call for the online portion. We'll have a bit more at the live shows. Otherwise, we'll come up with some new stuff. Maybe some fresh Joey Show merch. Speaking of the Joey Show, we are on the Joey Show. New channel, a little upstart channel. Needs a little love. Give us a subscribe, please. Give us a like if you're on YouTube. Still Spotify, Apple, rate, review, all that shit. And doing like long form improvised sets on YouTube main channel Joey Avery, 10 to 20 minute crowd work sets, some of the best from the last year. We're going to do them week over week on Fridays. Check it out. All right, folks, sorry this pod was late. Do want to apologize. I think I got kicked in the old dick by the norovirus there. That was a special little time. That thing seems to be going around. Pretty fun. Basically what happened, at least in my experience, was around night, something started turning in my stomach, and I thought, oh no, my tum-tum hurts. And that's not a great feeling as an adult, because you feel like a fucking baby saying that. And I was like, I think I'll be okay. And then next thing I know, I can't even sleep. I'm a stomach sleeper. I can't even sleep on my stomach because my stomach is turning. When I get sick like that, what really kills me is I will immediately be connected to the potentially decaying and decrepit nature of the human condition and how it results in death. I realize that's a dark thought. We'll brighten it up. But when you feel that chink in your armor, not a racial thing, you go, whoa. And it is humbling. And it feels bad. And you're like, oh, shit. And then I went, and speaking of shit, that's what I was doing. I was blasting porcelain with the best of them, and then you get out and you're like, oh, it's a great relief, but then I'm sweating, I'm freezing cold, I'm lying on the floor of the bathroom, and this happens over and over again, and it's a horrible experience. Then I'm in bed the whole next day. I'm sick. I'm like, how am I going to fly to Canada? I can't think of anything. It's brutal. You can barely like track things. I can only half listen to a podcast. I can barely bring myself to watch a thing. I have all this work stacking up, but I know I can't do it. I'm just trying to rest. And then all of a sudden, like 13 hours later, 24. I sleep the next night. I sweat through it. I wake up the next morning. I'm fine. My body vanquished it. Built different. One of the best physiques in stand-up. And I couldn't believe it. It was a crazy experience. I was proud, not just because the amount of sweating in the bed that I did, although I do take a weird pride in that, but also just to vanquish an invader like that. It felt good. And what I walked out of it with, and what I always walk out of with when I am sick, and what I value about being sick, is there's almost a clarity to it. When you get sick, and I think there's a scientific effect to this. I don't know the exact chemical. It's like LCs or TCs or some shit. But some level of your body when you're sick, it creates these things I'm just going to do scientific misinformation because it is a podcast. It's the same sort of stuff that happens when you become a father. I listened to half of a Huberman one time, and it basically like lowers your testosterone. It lowers your drive that you usually have to like go out and be out and do things and have experiences, and it just makes you want to like be in and care about the things that you care about. You've been weakened. You're feeble. All of a sudden you realize the things you love. It's like your two close friends, your wife, your family. You're like, that is all that I don't care about any of this shit. Set work down for a while. Set other things down for a while. All I care about is my immediate tribe, the things that I truly love. I don't need any of this. I didn't want food. I wanted water. I'd had a lovely biryani the day before, one of the best biryanis I'd ever had. I said, I'm never having biryani again. I don't need these conqueror's spices that were brought back from the Silk Road that we don't even need. I don't need any of that shit. I don't need to eat steak. I don't need to eat fatty. I don't need any of that. I want one fucking blueberry and a glass of water with lemon and nothing else. Clarifying. You don't want. And it's what I try to take from that is there's some nice clarifying things. You can realize that which is important and that which is not, and you can take that with you. I do believe when good things, bad things happen to you, you take a lesson out of that. Now, you don't have to do that if you get blown up by a drone. I understand that. I'm not gonna hand you a self-help book in that case. But for most of us, it's like, I got a flat tire. Hey, what can we learn? What can we learn from that? So I'm sorry it was late, but I was in the lab cooking, becoming a better person, shitting my brains out, and vanquishing diseases like the absolute built out of iron, moderately successful stud that I am. It's we could do some culture stuff here. SNL 50 was interesting. It was fun. It was great. It was a great time. It was big because of the history of it, because of the overall stars. There's fun, talented people on the cast, sure, currently, but like that thing works because of watching the titans that were there, and it's going to be hard for them to manufacture those sorts of people in the future, not because it isn't the most culturally relevant mainstream comedy program out there right now, but because culturally relevant mainstream comedy program is a completely dying breed that it is hanging on to at this time. But it was fun to see. It was good to see it. Oscars are coming up. I've tried to be involved. We know there's drama going on with Emilia Perez. I was reading an article about it, and it tipped me to a part of the Oscars landscape that I got to be honest, I'm new to. So if you're deep in the Oscars game, maybe you can write in joeyshowpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe you can educate me. But I was reading an article about the drama with Emilia Perez and Netflix, and it was talking about the awards campaign season. And there was a phrase that caught me which said Netflix tapped Harvey Weinstein's former lieutenant, Lisa Tabak, to be in charge of awards. Now, the wording here, I think, is what struck me, because I was wondering what Harvey Weinstein's lieutenant would do. This is certainly a wartime consigliere, of course. Now, I'm not saying that this lady who works for Netflix, a fantastic streaming platform that I would love to have any sort of anything on, I'm not saying that she was his lieutenant for all things jerking off into potted plants at parties or whatever sorts of weird things he did with his famously weird penis. I'm not saying that. But the term lieutenant in the realm of awards season was fascinating to me. It went on to talk about how there was a schadenfreude in the Hollywood circles about the gloves-off approach being applied to her that she was famous for applying to all of Harvey Weinstein's movies in the past. Again, I said gloves, not pants, were off. And that was an interesting level. That made the Oscars a lot more interesting to me. Because I look at it as like, hey, maybe you'll get a movie rec, maybe you'll like that rec, maybe not, but it's interesting window into what the movers and shakers of the, cultural community are valuing, even if it's not what maybe the average person on the street is watching, and I want to see the I enjoy fine art as much as the next guy in a field in Calgary does. And I thought that it was just that, just a competition. Now, I should know, as someone who's been in arts competitions, in my case, these are usually low-level comedy. When you're trying to come up as a comedian, a lot of times you have to do anything to get stage time, and stage time in front of people, because you don't even get to open for getting 10 minutes for a headliner is like, that's like 8 years in for a lot of us. I think for me. And so you're just scraping for, I'm doing open mics. Oh my God, the local club is doing a competition. If I do well in the competition, maybe I can audition to get to do 10 minutes before the headliner and do a hosting set and do your 10 minutes of your best material, and then have everyone in line come up to you after and say, you should do stand-up sometime. Do you just host? Hey, fuckface, what do you think I just did? You do these competitions, and when you do the competitions, you're like, obviously you're clouded by your own judgment and your own desire for you to win, but also like people win and you're like, well, that's not the best comic, and it often isn't the one who's going to be the most successful because there's politics that go into it. Now, I should know better than anyone that arts competitions are phooey, but I thought, the Oscars I know it's a lot of like old people, it's like Shirley Temple is not a drink, an actual lady is like lying in bed, plugged into a feeding tube, half watching a movie about like how a guy fucks a tree, and is just like checking Best Picture because her, arbor sexual nephew liked it, and that's what I assumed part of it was. But I didn't realize there was an entire behind-the-scenes, gloves off, Harvey Weinstein, Lieutenant, back alley, dirty, mudslinging, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, manipulation of the public through the press, propaganda-level shit that goes into the Oscars, and now I'm fucking in, dude. That's the type of shit I want to watch. I want to know what the fuck is going on back there. I want in those rooms. I want to be in a Hollywood war room. Now, we know information gets polluted and is fed to you in a certain way. We know that from the past because it's like, okay, the titans, the rich people used to buy papers. William Randolph Hearst used to buy papers, and they could seed panic against immigrants and against weed and all sorts of things. And boy, could you imagine what it would be like if billionaires owned all the communication platforms? Oh, it sounds familiar. And then feed people their own propaganda by boosting their own signals on platforms called X, or by being the ones who own every other platform. Sure. Of course. That does sound familiar. But it gets a little gritty when we're talking about the world at large. I want to know when we're doing it for a fucking trophy, for an actor to go on stage and cry. I want to know, this is my favorite thing, is people who have very successful people, by the way, people that most of us, maybe not, but a lot of us in society look up to and admire. The miserable people driving G-Wagons to their homes in, I was going to say Malibu, but that it maybe isn't doing as well, but we're going to have to do it anyway. Yes, people driving their G-Wagons to their remaining homes in Malibu who are as stressed and angry and pissed off as anyone in society because they are fighting the wars of their lives, existential crisis, king-level battles of being afraid, of not knowing, Machiavellian, who's going to get them, who's going to come for them next, trying to manipulate every human being on planet Earth into knowing they're right because they are battling, because they're fighting, they're miserable, they're drinking their fucking latte, oat milk only, and I brought my own because yours has a seed oil. And no, that didn't make me happy because I'm still fat because I don't have time to work out because I'm involved in a real war. You think Zelensky's fighting? You think Putin's fighting? You think Trump's fighting? No. We're going to remove Trump for the purposes of this. Zelensky and Putin are actually fit. We're talking about fat, angry, miserable Hollywood executives fighting for someone else's trophy. And everyone looks up to them because there are reality shows about, like, look at this busy, powerful girl boss doing whatever, or guy boss or whatever, and these people just on the phones, miserable, shitting blood. They don't have time to figure out why. They are battling. They are fighting. They are on the front lines of a war in an industry that is dying because people want to watch children play Minecraft on YouTube. These are the wars that I want to know more about. How do I become a lieutenant in that battle? But one who doesn't care, because I am moderately tied to this crazy concept that a lot of people are losing touch with, which is trying to be happy in your own life. It's a thought. It's worth a try, but it's not interesting. And we're not going to cover people on this program who are doing things well. That's not interesting. It's not fun. We'll talk about it from time to time. Again, I encourage you to not be these people, but every once in a while, for a moment, we will step into the front lines of battle and find out what is going on with the lieutenants, generals, field marshals, and brigadiers of the most important wars of the world, the war for best set design in a foreign animated bisexual film. I want to know the stress that went into winning that award. How do I find these stories? We are looking for on-the-ground reporting. We haven't done it yet. Is there a CoffeeZilla for that? CoffeeZilla exposes great crypto schemes. You should watch him before you invest in a meme coin, ideally. But we need one for the fun battles, for the wars. So we're soliciting things for that. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening to The Joey Show. I'm getting cold. I have a show to go do. I hope that you can find the ability to be a happy warrior as the lieutenant in the frontline battle of whatever tiny award you've decided is important in your life. Make it achievable. Make it attainable. Go out there and get it. And once and for all, fuck Canada. Just kidding. I kind of love you.
Thank God I have a podcast.